The Disreputable History of Frankie Lando Banks tells the tale of 14-year-old Frankie and her conflict with gendered norms during her freshman year at Alabaster Prep. Within this video, I'm going to compare the theme of feminism, or lack thereof, in The Disreputable History of Frankie Lando Banks to one thing: a Starbucks unicorn frappuccino. Do you remember the Starbucks unicorn frappuccino? It lasted for about 2 weeks in Starbucks around the country. It was one of Starbucks' worst-rated drinks of all time. And the ingredients of a Starbucks unicorn frappuccino are actually thematically and metaphorically related to Frankie Lando Banks for many reasons. So the unicorn frappuccino has 6 main ingredients. It has milk. It has ice. This is where it starts to get a little weird. It has pink powder, sour blue powder, mango syrup, and blue drizzle.
It's kind of hard to swallow.
So to begin, I'm going to look at the milk, which is something that is quintessential for all frappuccinos. So the milk in Frankie Lando Banks is a leading female character, which is a quintessential for any feminist text. In any feminist text, there needs to be 2 or more genders of people to present the principles of feminist theory. Frankie represents the female leading character in Frankie Lando Banks, which gives the book a foundation of the dynamic between males and females. So next, obviously, all frappuccinos have ice, and the ice in Frankie Lando Banks is the conflict of gendered norms. At Alabaster Prep, boys are allowed in the elite loyal order of Basset Hounds, and the girls are not. And so since Frankie won't accept this, she sees flaws in the gendered differences between boys and girls. This non-acceptance of gender inequality is essential to feminist texts. With those elementary factors of both frappuccinos and feminist texts in mind, here's where Frankie Lando Banks and the unicorn frappuccino really fell apart. I want to compare the pink powder in Frankie Lando Banks to Frankie's attempts to tear down the loyal order of the Basset Hounds instead of seeking equality in her society. Because pink is a traditional female color, it represents Frankie's attempts to compete with the boys and become better than them. This does not align with feminist theory at all, which advocates for mutual respect and equality among all genders, just as the gross pink powder does not align with the traditional coffee drink. Next, I want to compare the sour blue powder in the unicorn frappuccino to alpha being accredited for Frankie's hard work. Just as pink is a traditional female color, blue is a traditional male color. This ingredient is representative of how, although Frankie's hard work may have been immoral, Alpha receives all of the credit for it. This keeps Frankie in the shadows because he is considered a noble leader among the loyal order of the Basset Hounds, despite doing no work at all. This is not linear with feminist theory because Frankie and Alpha work just as hard and he's receiving praise from his peers and she is still in the same position. This aspect of the novel is sour and male-favored, just like the sour blue powder in the frap. The 5th ingredient in the unicorn Starbucks frappuccino is mango syrup, which is completely unnecessary in comparison to the other ingredients, and it's completely unnecessary in a Starbucks frappuccino. So the in-depth description of Frankie's appearance can be compared to the mango syrup in this frappuccino because it's completely unnecessary to the plot and it's completely unnecessary to feminist theory. The entire beginning of the book is to outline Frankie's new hot body. She's described as a loaded potato in terms of what her body and her body alone has to offer, and it just doesn't make any sense in comparison to feminist theory. So the mango syrup does not belong in a frappuccino, and Frankie's worth based on her appearance does not belong in a feminist text. The final ingredient in a Starbucks unicorn frappuccino is blue drizzle. Blue is a color that is traditionally associated with men. So, I want to compare the blue drizzle in a Starbucks unicorn frappuccino to the characters in Frankie Lando Banks always just focusing their attention on men. Everyone in the book is obsessed with men, from Frankie's dad naming her Frankie to solely fulfill his yearning for a son, to Frankie basing every decision she makes on the loyal order of the Basset Hounds. Even at the end of the novel, when you think Frankie has developed maturity as a character, she says she's enthusiastic to find a boy who will include her. The book hyper-emphasizes men, which again takes away from the equality aspect of feminist theory. In conclusion, Frankie Lando Banks is similar to the Starbucks unicorn frappuccino. They both have the fundamental elements to achieve their intended goals. Starbucks wanted a new cool frap, and E. Lockhart wanted to write a feminist text. However, when we look at the specific ingredients of both the unicorn frappuccino and Frankie Lando Banks, those intentions fall flat.